I've learned there's a major prejudice against men with cats.
Well, we're two men with two cats each. So we've got
Major prejudice.
what's the prejudice against cats?
There
Against
in the
cat
dating
people?
in the dating world, there's a huge prejudice against cats, men with cats.
How so?
There is. Girls are like, don't date a guy who has cats.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there's sort of a prejudice against girls with big dogs too. Similarly, it's kind of like the guy already has his sort of feminine energy needs taken care of by the cats, which I think is crazy.
Interesting.
I think it's totally stupid. It's some Cosmo magazine article that just went viral or something.
And that women
And
with
then
big dogs
they
already have
them-
like
Yeah.
basically have big hairy dumb boyfriends anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That's I think the idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard that
I
before.
think it's idiotic. I think it's idiotic, but it's true. I hear it over and over again. People are like, oh, cats. Like, why do you have cats? Like, oh, it's not good to have cats.
Oh man, I haven't
And I'm
made
like,
these
whatever.
associations yet. I like all. I mean, I think a woman with a big dog would be awesome. I think
I know, me too.
guys with cats sound like cool dudes. So
Yeah,
I'm not on
or
any of
guys
these
with
trends.
dogs. I don't care. Yeah, I think it's all fine. I don't think any like evidence-based psychological research has ever showed. Oh, men with cats, they're just useless, or like women with dogs. Oh, they just they're single for life or something.
So there we go. We're inventing already a Hollywood blockbuster called Men with Cats, where it's about guys who have cats, but they're trying to date, so they have to hide the cat evidence. They have to hide the cat evidence, but cats don't want to be hidden. They like to, get around and mess up stuff. So
Yeah,
we have
and
a whole
hair
hijinks.
and- Oh yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. Cat like litter stuff. There could be a whole litter episode season, just a whole season. I mean, are you thinking movie or TV show?
Oh, we probably a multinational franchise. I'm thinking
Oh,
like
yeah.
how we could rival the MCU after a few movies.
Yeah. Okay, should we start?
I
All
think
right,
so.
cue the music now. Okay, I like saying things to your future self when you're editing.
You're into the queuing, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if that stays in. I can edit that out.
You could edit anything. You're the man in the high castle. No, that's not it. You're the man in the van. You're the man in the van.
Man behind the curtain.
The man behind the curtain. You know the man in the van.
I know the man behind the van sounds like something
Not behind
criminal.
the van, in the van.
Yeah,
The man
that
in
sounds
the
like
van.
a criminal thing.
It is kind of criminal. It's like in any like cop or heist or movie, they always have like a earpiece, and then they have the man in the van.
I thought you meant like a man in a van going around being like free candy and trying to get like.
No, that's creepy.
Okay.
Not a windowless. Well, it is a windowless van usually, actually. Because,
Where are we going?
But the man in the van. You know what the most innovative use of the man in the van was in film?
What's that?
The Matrix. Morpheus was the man in the van in Neo's ear, but Morpheus was in the real world and Neo was in the Matrix. That's the best man in the van, I think, is the Matrix man in the van. Okay, wait, we have to have a solution. Okay, we're going to stop
Please.
boring the audience. Okay, this is a big one, Scott. This is a big one. So the idea is everyone knows like cryptocurrencies. I had this idea before cryptocurrencies were a thing.
Okay.
So this idea is a new currency. Okay, but prevent your eyes from rolling back in your head and hitting the back of your skull because you've heard about how many hundreds and thousands of stupid cryptocurrencies. This is not a cryptocurrency. It's a currency that is inflation proof.
A currency that is inflation proof.
So it doesn't experience inflation. If the
Right.
dollar goes down, which is inflation, the dollar
Mhm.
going down in value,
Right.
it just stays level, which appears like it's going up, but actually it's not going up. It's just not going down with the dollar.
Oh.
It's staying level
Okay.
against the dollar.
I'll circle back to that. But so does this currency have a name?
Well, yes. So I find it took me about 14 years and a lot of hard work and blood, sweat, and tears, but I have finally started it, and it's actually live, and people can actually go buy
What?
this currency. Yeah, I've made it.
Whoa.
I've made it. Yeah, it's called the Numey. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's called the Numey, Numey, and the website is
Numey?
yeah. It's like
Okay.
it's like a contraction of new money. So it's
Okay.
spelled kind of like money, but new
Got
money. Numey, and it's a paywithnumey.com. Call to action domain. I love call to action domains.
Mhm.
Pay with Numey. Pay with Numey. But yeah, so that's it. That's what it is. No inflation currency.
Okay, so how I have not created a currency before, so I'm going to have a lot of questions. What how do you go about making it not subject to inflation? Maybe I should start there.
Yeah. So the way we do that is we just query the CPI API. So that's a lot of acronyms. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, every month at like the end of the month, and then they say that here's what the inflation was for this month, and they publish that in an API, like in a kind of thing you can query, like a computer can query it and get back a data response.
Yeah.
And so we just query that API. It's a public API. Anybody can query it. We just query it every day and check, hey, did it update yet?
Okay.
Or I think it queries every hour actually and just checks, but it's only once a month that it publishes. And then when we get that number back, we then take that number and then divide it over the rest of the next month. So basically the number of inflation for last month becomes the growth of the Numey over the next month.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is and tell me if I get this wrong because that's totally possible. It's normal money is built without regard to inflation. Like that's not built into it. It doesn't check and adjust itself based on that, which is why inflation happens over the time. But and cryptocurrency is built like on whatever it's built on. I don't even know. But you're saying this part of it is built on checking inflation and adjusting itself with
just
inflation as it goes along.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically it's just the dollar basically the Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes how much the dollar has lost in value each month, and then we just correct for that. So so you're not being affected by inflation.
So how do you use Numeys or get Numeys or how?
Okay,
how do
it's a website, and it's a website. Yeah,
you said pay with Numey.
You sign up, you verify your identity with a driver's license or passport because we have to do everything following federal law. So we have to know who you are, your identity.
Well, when I did cryptocurrency, I had to do the same thing.
Yep. Those similar, but those laws apply everywhere. They have, when you go open a bank account, you have to show an ID, So we do that. It's not a bank account, it's an electronic wallet, but it falls under the same regulations. It's called Regulation E. It's Federal Reserve Regulation E.
Okay.
Electronic currency regulations. So yeah, you sign up, you validate your identity, and then you add a bank account, just like you'd add a bank account to like charge up any kind of like online stock or cryptocurrency thing. And then you can transfer money from your bank account into Numeys right there. And then you can use it like Venmo to send money to people instantaneously. There's no fees to send money. There's no fees to buy money, to buy Numeys. There is a 2% fee to sell Numey back for dollars. So when you leave the platform, there's a fee to leave because we want to obviously incentivize people staying in. So there's only a fee to leave.
When you're sending Numeys, does the other person have to also have the same app, or can they?
They have to have a Numey wallet. Yeah.
Okay, so that it goes Numey to Numey. Okay.
Yep, they would have to have that. Yeah, it's kind of.
But these are inflate. So what made you want to develop something specifically, and build the inflation-proof part into it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's a few reasons, but I basically studied monetary economics at the end of college, and then in the first year after college, I was reading all this monetary economic theory, which included like John Maynard Keynes, the theory of money, employment, and interest, or employment, interest, and money. All these interesting monetary economists. There's these Austrian monetary economists like von Mises, Ludwig von Mises, and Friedrich August Hayek, and anyways, a bunch of stuff. Turns out Copernicus, who did the
Copernicus, I do know this. I know his name.
He actually wrote a treatise called De Moneta, which was about money, and he said, hey, we've got to stop letting the government, like the king essentially, we have to stop letting the king depreciate the money, because when they do that, they're stealing money from us through inflation. And another medieval guy, Nicholas de Orem.
And then Copernicus was like, and also money revolves around the sun. And they're like, Copernicus, stop it.
Get that man. Stop saying
always
that thing's
revolving around the sun with you. Get it out of here. No, who is the other guy? I'm sorry, I cut it with my dumbness.
There's this other guy, Nicholas de Orem, who was a medieval French arithmetician. He did math stuff. And he also wrote a paper, a treatise on money that said the same thing. He said, well, the kings keep depreciating. They would mix like brass and nickel and stuff into the gold and silver coins. And then they would stamp them and say they're the same as the true gold coins. And then they would sell them at the gold coin price, and it would drive down the value of money.
Right.
Which is inflation. And then the kings would use that to basically buy stuff or pay soldiers or do whatever the king wanted to do. And so there's these kind of guys throughout history who've been warning everyone, hey, this is really bad. When governments do this is like a really bad thing for governments to do, or for anybody to do. And there's this guy named Quintilian, who's another economist. He was like a French economist in the 1900s or 1800s. And he talked about how inflation is sort of stealing money from people and transferring, or stealing wealth essentially from some and transferring it to others.
Yeah.
You can think of it as like a Roman or think of it this way. So if tomorrow everyone woke up with $50,000 under their pillow, right? So say you're in like a city, say you're, or just everyone in America woke up with $50,000. Immediately, all the prices at the grocery store would just rise to accommodate the fact that everyone had $50,000 more dollars, right?
Right.
Like immediately, bread would be like $25 a thing. Like everything would be way more expensive because there was more money created.
Right. Because if there's a set amount of money, then it's worth one thing, and then if the government needs more money and all they do is print more money, it doesn't inflation. Magically create wealth. It just kind of dilutes everyone else's, and so everything else becomes a little. That's how inflation happens.
Exactly.
Sure.
So
that's my understanding.
Right, you're totally right. And the way you can think of it is like if everyone woke up with like $1,000 under their pillow, all the prices would go up by a little bit, but no one would be any change in wealth. Like everyone would be the same amount of wealth. Actually, poor people would be way wealthier because they would get a better benefit from that. But think of it this way. So imagine you lived in a city of 200 people or 100 people, and everybody woke up with like 100
extra money,
gold coins under their pillow. There'd be no change in the economy. Just all the prices would change, and the distribution of goods would be the same. But what if one person woke up with 10,000 gold coins under their pillow? For the next few months or weeks, that person could go buy all this stuff for cheap for them. And then over time, everyone would realize, oh, more money was created, and the prices would slowly rise. But in the meantime, there would be a wealth transfer to the person who got the money first. So that's how inflation basically steals money from the rest of us, like just wage earners basically, and savers, people who save money and are wage earners. And the money the wealth goes to the people who get it first, which is the government, which isn't so bad because it's sort of like a tax. But the problem is the government immediately gives that to like military military contractors.
Places you wouldn't want your money to go.
Yeah. And also not only does the government get it, but the big banks get it, the big corporate banks. So the banks who are members of the Federal Reserve System are also the ones who get the first bite at the first bite at the apple. Yeah. So I don't just think that that's a bad idea. Some very, very smart people have said again and again throughout history for hundreds of years, even more than 1,000 years, that that's a bad idea. And it is a bad idea. So there's a great, if anyone wants to see the bad effects of this, they can go to what WTF happened in 1971.
WTF happened in 1971?
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes. Yeah, .com. And what it does is it says what the F happened in 1971. And that's what it says at the top. And then it doesn't tell you the whole time, but it shows you graph after graph after graph after graph, just like literally like 50, 60, 100 graphs, all showing different things that change after 1971. And if you go and look at it, it's amazing. It says proportion of wealth given to workers versus the 1%, and it's all like it's in lockstep equal. And then in 1971 it breaks, and the 1% starts getting way more, and the workers start getting way less. Tuition of college, like cost of housing, like everything you can think of in 1971 starts to get way worse, and it just has continued.
Well, and I'm looking at it now. I'm scrolling to it, and there is exactly as you described. There's a bunch of different graphs of different kinds, and they have arrows pointing to that flux point. But in a lot of them, the lines will be together until this 1971 point, and then they start spreading apart or going, some stuff goes down, some stuff goes up, where before they had just kind of really stayed together in one line.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And it just goes on and on and on. There's countless graphs like that. And that's not doctored information. All those things are cited. They're pulled from Federal Reserve Research, economic research, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Like, it's pulled from very, very reputable sources. It's not some crazy like tinfoil hat website. It's a very good sources. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom, which takes like 30 seconds if you scroll at maximum speed, at the very bottom, the very last thing is a quote from F.A. Hayek, that the economist I said before, the Friedrich August Hayek, and it says, it says a sound money quote. So it's a quote saying, hey, we really need sound money. Sound money is good for the world. And then they link to there's a link to a Bitcoin research paper, which is, in some ways is idiotic because Bitcoin is like garbage. And so are all cryptocurrencies. I'll say without equivocation that they're useless and crap. And most of them are Ponzi schemes, especially Bitcoin. But at least they have the right idea, though. So cryptocurrencies were the wrong solution to the right problem. So the problem is here's the big reveal. In 1971, that's the year that Nixon closed the gold window of the Federal Reserve and disconnected the dollar from gold. That's the year. That's the year that happened.
Because I did know we used to have a gold standard,
right?
And then we don't anymore. It's not based on
1971. 1971, Nixon was like, "What are we doing, tying our money to gold?" The economists came to him and said, "Hey, we don't need to do this anymore. Like, that's just old-fashioned. We're a new world where we don't need to have money be backed by anything. We can just disconnect it." And as soon as they did that, it was like open season. It was like, okay, now we can just print as much money as we want. The Federal Reserve can just print money all day long, and we can fight wars with it, and we can bail out billionaires with it, and we can just just run the money machine.
Yeah, well, anytime you remove regulations, it starts out with wild actors taking extreme actions. You know what I mean? Like they're testing the limits of the new unregulated environment, and they're going to go find all the corners of it and see if they can hit all the edges. Oof.
Well, they've been hitting the edges pretty hard for like 50 years straight, is basically.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
especially in the 2000s. I mean, ever since the 2008 bailout was like really atrocious, and then the COVID was also really atrocious. The way that was handled, it was a direct wealth transfer in both 2008 and 2019. It was a direct wealth transfer from the poor to the wealthy.
Well, and if the trade-off is continually profit massively for acting unethically, what we're going to see is that continue to happen.
Exactly.
People are going to go, crises, yeah, I'll do that, I guess.
Here's the really scary thing. If people who are wealthy and in power benefit from crises, then they have zero incentive to build a society that prevents crises from happening.
Right.
Because they just say, oh, yeah, there's this huge potential crisis coming. Well, every time there's a huge crisis, I benefit massively.
I seem to wind up better than I started, so keep doing that.
Yeah, let's just keep having. So do you think anything's gotten better in our pandemic preparedness? No, because they don't care, because they benefit. If there's another big pandemic, the wealthy and powerful benefit.
And maybe it's even gotten worse because people are like, man, that was fine. And so if the next one comes, we don't take action quick enough, or people don't take it seriously enough.
They'll just do another big bailout for super wealthy companies. Amazon will make more money than God for 2 years because people will be locked in their houses, right? But if we had pandemic preparedness, we might be more like Germany, who had like a 2-week lockdown and then we're free for the rest of the time. And they think we're just crazy that we were locked down for like a year. They just think we're like insane, Or so, and the same thing for financial crises. Like, there's already financial crises brewing. There was a financial crisis brewing in the crypto market. Why didn't the SEC say, we're going to cool off the crypto market by, putting in various, controls or regulations? They just don't. They don't do it. The same thing with a bunch of other financial crises that are happening, right? Or potential financial crises that are brewing right now, that no one steps in and actually just pours cold water on it because the incentives are to actually have the crises happen. This may sound a little conspiratorial, but I'm just saying from the perspective of incentives. There are incentives if you, like you said, moral hazard. I went to this conference, this Quaker conference, and and one of the meetings was with a Quaker lobbyist.
Oh,
Yeah, it was an oatmeal conference. Guess what we had for breakfast every day at the Quaker conference?
bacon and eggs. It was the
Bacon and
weirdest thing.
eggs. It was so weird. Brain food. I went to this conference session and the guy was like, I work in DC. I'm a Quaker and I go every day and I meet with politicians and I try to help them and do more Quaker aligned religious things.
Mhm.
And his main thing was what he called peaceful resolutions to potentially violent conflicts. And so what they did was they would look at the world and they would look at conflicts that were brewing, right? Kind of
Mhm.
had the markers of what could become conflicts. And then they would go to those places, figure out what was the matter, and then go to the State Department and politicians in America and say, hey, if you give like $2 million to this one thing and like, change the way water is managed in this one region, you'll prevent a potential blow up of like a civil war or conflict in 5 or 10 years. And the government would just look at them and just be like, get out of my office. Like, we don't have time for this. They would just, because they make money from the blowups,
Of
the
course.
military needs those blowups to happen. If we spent a fraction of the money just preventing the conflicts instead of always reacting, we didn't see that coming. We didn't see this coming, we didn't see Ukraine coming. Like everyone knew Ukraine. We were constantly pushing Ukraine into war, Russia into war on Ukraine's border. There was this guy on Colbert who went on Colbert and said, we're going to steal Ukraine from Russia. Like on TV, to Colbert like 10 years ago. It's like, oh my God. He called Ukraine Russia Batman and Ukraine Robin, and we're going to switch Robin over to our side. He said that in public, in front of everyone. It's like crazy. It's like he's literally poking the bear, right? Because Russia's the bear. He's literally poking the bear. Anyways, so what if we spend as much money trying to prevent conflict rather than start it? That should be another solution. Wow, we're doing a double header today.
So you've then got your own currency that will not be tied to inflation. And so when the dollar goes down, yours just stays put.
Yeah, it goes up by the exact amount that the dollar goes down, which is the same as staying level.
So it stays put like value-wise. It's based on inflation, the way that the dollar used to be based on gold.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you could buy 100 hamburgers today, then in 100 years you should be able to buy 100 hamburgers with the same amount of Numey. Yeah.
Space hamburgers from the
future
McDonald's.
Yeah, from the Delector galaxy. Yeah.
Wow, you've named the galaxy. I wasn't even there yet. Okay.
Well, the best food comes from Delector.
Clearly, you don't have to tell me this. What am I, a child?
It's in the name.
All right. Well, so if I get it, I can use it back and forth.
Yeah, we can pay each other back and forth if we ever need to, Scott.
So how many Numies do I get paid for showing up on the show today?
As much as you want. As much as you want. Sign up.
Oh my gosh.
Just sign up.
Numey me.
Numey me.
I've been old me for too long. I need to be new me.
Exactly. It's the new you, new me. It's the new year, new me. New you, new me. Yeah, right now the exchange rate is 56 cents on the dollar.
Okay.
To the dollar. But I mean, again, it goes up every day, every hour it goes up because the inflation is adjusted every hour. So it just keeps going up.
Does Numey have a symbol like how the dollar has a dollar sign that you could put on a bag of dollars? What's the Numey?
It has the Lorraine cross.
Okay. Now you said that like I should know what that is, but I don't.
You don't know. Neither no one knows what it is. It's a straight line.
Tell me more.
It's a straight line, and then it has two lines at the top.
Two
horizontal lines. So it's a straight vertical line. And then two horizontal lines at the top. It's called the Lorraine cross.
Like a regular cross with an extra cross.
With an extra cross on the top, yeah.
At the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it looks like.
I see.
Yeah. So you can put that on bags of money and be like, oh, there's Numey in there. Except for it's an electronic currency, so there are no bags.
How did you decide on the Lorraine cross? I'm assuming you decided on these things.
Well, I looked around for things, most money currency symbols have like lines through things,
Mm-hmm.
And
dollars.
Yeah, exactly. And there is like an N with like a line through it. It's a bit weird. And I think other things use that. And so I was looking for things, and the Numey logo is a triple equal sign, so three lines in a row. because it's supposed to be like hyper stable, like always equal, 3 lines.
Like a stack.
And it also looks, like a stack. Yeah. And it looks also kind of like good. It's in a blue circle. And I was like, well, okay, we got this kind of equal sign thing. What if it was an equal sign with a line through it? And that's what the Lorraine cross is. And then I looked around, and Lorraine cross isn't used for anything. So I was like, well, and it's a keyboard. It's a keyboard, like you can type it.
It's a symbol.
It's a character that you can type. So I was like, okay, so it's got all these kind of good benefits. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good question. Our payment systems are like 30 years behind what Europe does. Like,
really?
If you show a European that you have a checkbook, they will be like, "Are you a time traveler?" Like they will be like, "What are you doing? What is that?" They would be like, they're like, my grandma would use that before I was alive. She'll tell me stories of times she had to use a checkbook.
Writing a check does feel like the past. It really, I did it recently, and you have to write the check out, and then you have to like flip to the book where I manually write in the check number.
God.
And I'm like,
balance your checkbook.
Yeah, it is clearly from the past, and we just will not let go of it. It's like people who still insist that you fax them today, and I'm like, I don't even know how I would do that.
Probably there's a website that does it.
It probably is.
This is the real corruption, I think, of the Federal Reserve System and the kind of monopoly money that we use. The U.S. dollar is the Federal Reserve dollar. It's produced by the Federal Reserve Bank, and there's branches of it. There's 9 branches of it. One in San Francisco, one in New York, one in St. Louis. Anyways, there's
Denver.
I think there's a Denver one. Yeah. Yeah,
I only know that because we visited the Denver Mint when I was a kid.
Oh, cool! Yeah,
that's right.
It's cool. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm not saying this was always bad. I actually think the Federal Reserve System, as it was, worked great up until 1971. Like from 1935 when it was created to 1971, maybe into the 80s, it was fine. It worked great. But the problem is, since then, we've caused these problems that come from inflation, basically stealing money from the working class and giving it to the wealthy without their consent. I mean, taxes are fine. I'm very happy to have taxes, but taxes are levied by a democratic process by elected officials. Inflation is just stolen by kind of this sort of cabal of unelected officials. Yeah, and it's given to like weird corporations, and no elected official goes up on a stump and says, "Yeah, let's take 3% of the economy this year and just steal it and give it to, these guys."
So Adam, you were saying then that it was good for a while.
Yeah, it was good.
Is this a toothpaste out of the tube situation, or would it be possible in a perfect world to get it back to where it was in 71?
Yeah,
or is
just use Numey. Just use Numey. Yeah, just use Numey.
Okay.
Yeah, Numey is the way. I don't necessarily care if you use Numey. There's no other currency like this, though. That's the problem. This is a blue ocean. This is the first ever of its kind type of currency. So right now there's only Numey. There's no other option. But in the future, I'm sure, because now that this is out there, I'm sure other financial people who are way more wealthy and well connected than I am will start competitors with Numey. Which is fine. I'm more interested in just. I'd be happy to be the face of it and become successful from it. But I'm also happy to just advance this because I think it would make the world better.
But you're exploring the space of, instead of these volatile up and down like places where people feel like they are extracting money away from good places. This is a stable thing that feels like it just kind of is a sane place to keep stuff. I don't know. I'm not saying it right, but it's a stable place where it feels like the volatility is what you're trying to account for. You know what I mean?
We're eliminating the volatility.
Yeah.
So here's an example. If you say you make $100,000 a year, I'll just use it for round numbers.
Okay, I would love to
say
that.
Say you make $100,000 a year.
Say I make $100,000.
Last year, inflation was 8%. That was largely because of COVID, and in the future, it probably won't be so high. But say it's 3% or 4%, like a normal year of inflation. Okay, now you just lost $3,000 of earning power, not just of money. Yeah, because you went down by 3%. Yeah, you got real mad there, Scott. This is it's a hypothetical situation.
You just took $3,000 from me.
No, this is not actually your life. This is a hypothetical situation.
Okay.
Try to keep telling yourself that. Pet your cat. Pet your cat.
All right, kitty cat. Calm cat.
So not just $3,000. They took $3,000 of earning power, which means they took $3,000 this year, and unless you get a raise forever, it's always going to be gone. So they took tens of thousands from you really over your lifetime just by that 1 year of inflation. So what if instead you tell your employer, hey, I don't want to be paid $100,000 a year. I want to be paid whatever it is, $184,000 or whatever, the equivalent amount in Numey. I want to pay 200,000 Numey. Let's just say it's 50 to 1. It's not. It's 54 to 1, but imagine it's 50 to 1.
Okay.
So imagine you say, okay, I want $200,000 a year in Numey. And they say, well, that's equivalent. Okay, sure. Now next year, no inflation. Say the inflation's 3%. You don't care. You're being paid the same amount. You can buy the same amount of stuff that you could the year before. So there's a huge incentive for workers to start demanding for their pay to be paid in Numey.
Because it won't sink as the economy moves through.
As the Federal Reserve prints money, it's like, who cares? Because Numey doesn't print money. Numey never prints any money. The only way to create a Numey is to buy it from the Numey system.
I see.
Numey never. We don't.
So
ever
it's not like a
money.
mining system where it's
no
destroying the environment continually while computers are running trying to solve arbitrary math equation.
We soon will be. I want to be a carbon
that
negative.
Seems like an improvement. Yes.
I want to be. Well, our system is already carbon negative because it's like it takes almost no carbon at all, and a few offsets, and we're at negative. So we're like, we're very good for the environment. Crypto is terrible for the environment. Yeah,
that's cool.
Terrible.
What?
Yeah, so we're good for the environment. We're good for workers. We're good for people who save, for savers. People who are hugely in debt probably don't like this because when you have debt, inflation actually lowers the value of your debt. So in a way, you're sort of making money from inflation if you have a lot of debt.
How did you start along the process of even getting to this point? Like, did you wake up one morning and go, "Oh, there's not enough currencies. I need one more," or was it like the? Well, where did the idea?
Well, I read all these economists. I was reading about. I really wanted to understand money because I could tell that was sort of running everything.
Sure.
So I wanted to theoretically understand how it all worked. So I read literally 40 books, and the best books I could find, the key books in history and even current. I read a bunch of books by Ben Bernanke, the former Fed chair.
Okay.
I read the various, I read a lot of papers.
Did you read The Notebook?
Papers. I read the book, the movie, The Notebook.
By Nicholas Sparks?
No, what's that?
Oh, it's they made a romantic movie about it a while back.
Oh, is it about money? Is it about monetary theory?
No. It's about hot people smooching each other and stuff. Ryan Gosling.
I had less interested in that. Maybe that's why I didn't do so much of that when I was in college. Okay, because I wasn't so interested in that.
All right, so you read a bunch of books. You just didn't read The Notebook. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So I read. Okay, and then
Jurassic
one of those books.
Park? Was that?
I haven't read that. I've seen the movie though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah. That's another one I should
probably
put on
about
the list.
Dinosaurs more than currency, but
okay,
keep going.
Money doesn't really feature. Although the guy is
derailed.
kind of rich. The guy who buys the island is pretty rich, so he has something.
Mr. Jurassic Park, Mr. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Yes, of course.
So basically, I read all those books. One of the books was called The Denationalization of Money by F.A. Hayek, by that same guy Hayek.
Right.
And in that, he was like, well, we could make monies this other way, where you just make them, inflation proof by having a really strong reserve. That's how we're inflation proof, by the way, is we keep a reserve that's very strong. It's good investments.
Okay.
And there's a 1-to-1 relationship between the money in circulation and the investments that back it. So that's how you prevent the inflation, is you have investments that do better than inflation on average. And then that keeps you ahead of inflation with the reserve.
I'm nodding my head, but
yes.
I'm hoping that other people will understand it better than I do.
Well,
it's
like imagine if you gave me $1,000 and you were like, in 10 years, I want you to give me $1,000. I want you to give me $1,000.
Okay.
And $1,100 or something. I'd be like, oh shit, I better go put this in a safe investment so that in 10 years I can give him what he wants.
Mm-hmm. I
go and put in a safe investment. That's essentially the reserve, because we need to return to you at least inflation or better.
Okay.
Over time.
Gotcha.
So the reserve is important. Anyway, it's not that I didn't come up with this. I just read all these books. I read Hayek's book, and in that book I was like, I looked at it and I looked at the world, and I looked back at the book, and I looked back at the world, and then I was like, well, no one's ever even tried to do this. So I was like, well, why don't we just try?
Mm-hmm.
And that was my idea 15 years ago. And so then I've been trying to do it, and it's hard because there's regulations and laws and different things, and banks were like, "Who are you? Why are you talking to us? You're such a weirdo."
A good thing that they make it at least a little hard for someone to start a whole new currency. No,
I don't know. I don't actually think so. I think it'd be better if you just kind of let people do whatever. But To some extent. I mean, I'm not like a total deregulation freak, but
well,
but
you
I mean,
made
if,
it though.
you know,
It seems like you've gotten
it's
through.
live.
You
It's
got
live.
through all the
Yep.
different.
We're live in
all
all
the different obstacles and
We're
hurdles.
live in all 50 states. Yeah, I think probably we could even do Puerto Rico. I haven't really looked into that, but yeah, definitely all 50 states. You can buy Numey now.
That's
and
awesome.
And transact in Numey. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if anybody's listening, they're totally welcome to go buy some Numey. Like I said, it's
jump in the pool. The water's fine, and the water doesn't evaporate over time like
exactly
the other money pools.
And like cryptocurrency, you're buying something that it has no backing. There's no reserve. It's just air, right? You're just buying this sort of digital token that you just fingers crossed hope it's worth more in the future. If you go buy dollars,
yeah, but no shenanigans have ever happened with cryptocurrency, right? Not famously and often. And then if you buy dollars, you just know that you're on you're in quicksand. Yeah. I mean, it's just slowly going down. I mean, it's like buying a car where you're like, well, this will not ever be worth as much money as it is right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And but if you buy Numey, there's not right now. It's kind of like buying the first fax machine. There's not a lot of people who accept Numey, but the Numey will never, in like 50,000 years, never.
It just won't sink.
It will never be.
That's what it is. The Numey won't sink.
And it won't rise either, though. I mean, that's the thing. Is reality, it's not changing at all.
But that's what you want. Like on a boat, if you want a boat, you want it to not sink and also
not go up
rise.
in the air.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want boats
like it
to just
stay...
float up in the air or sink down to the bottom of the ocean. What if you're on a boat and it just raised above the water and you're like, oh no, go back down to the water.
You're on here. You're like, I'm worried this boat's going to sink. The captain's like, actually, we do a whole different
quite
thing.
The opposite problem.
we have a different kind of problem. You're going to need
it goes up and then it turns upside down and shakes us and everyone falls out.
They're like, who designed this boat? You're like, I don't know. We thought it would be a good idea.
In 1971, Nixon, he decided I'll make all these boats, and the boats, they go up.
Here's our graph of boats that don't fly in the air and shake you down and boats that do, and they strangely go apart from each other.
We're experiencing inflation. Inflation. The boats are rising up out of the water.
That's when they're inflating these giant balloons above them that lift them and
lift it up. Why are we doing this? Just cut the balloons. We can't. We can't.
Some maniacal genius is like, I've combined the Hindenburg and the Titanic into one massive disaster.
God. The
Titandenberg.
The Titandenberg. Dude, we should make a movie. We should totally write the screenplay called The Titandenberg. And it's all about a ship that is connected to massive helium balloons or hydrogen balloons. And guess what happens at the end?
This is the next installment in our Guys with Cats movie universe. We just need the guys with cats to be stuck on this boat. They were going on a cruise, unbeknownst to them, a cruise where you take cats.
Not unbeknownst. It was the Titandenberg.
The Titandenberg, of course.
The Titandenberg. That's just a good thing.
And we will fund our movies all
using
the way through
the profits
Numey.
of Numey. Yes,
of course.
The goal of Numey is to make the economy, basically to fix capitalism. Capitalism's great in the sense that I love commerce. I love people starting businesses. I love people inventing things, etc. But the problems with capitalism is obviously inequality and poverty, and we need to sort of fix that to make it so that the economy works for everybody. And if you look at those graphs, if you look at that website, the economy was working for everybody up until about 1971. And then it's like, what the hell happened? Oh, we created unsound money. We created this fiat money that was disconnected from anything real. And then we just started having these cabal of rich financiers print a bunch of money and give it to the government and to the big banks. And it's not the right way to run things. I mean, it's fine. It was an experiment. It didn't work. Now we're going to go back to sound money, and it's actually better than gold standard because the gold standard was really stupid, actually. At 1971, like Nixon did a good thing to get off the gold standard. The problem was he didn't get onto anything else. He
just decoupled it from everything
and just made it. Yeah, it's just connected to air. But what we want to do is connect it to what's called an asset standard.
Okay.
Asset standard. So back in 1971, they didn't have total market ETFs. They didn't have a way to. Kind of invest in the whole economy as a unity. But now we do because of derivatives and because of the advances of finances since 1971.
Okay.
In the 80s and 90s, they invented the hedge fund. They invented the derivatives. They invented, all these kind of interesting exotic things. Now we can use that to risk manage and spread the risk of financial risk across the whole economy. And now we can base our money on units of that. So it's an asset-based currency. It's like a dollar, like a gold-based currency, but gold is just one yellow metal.
Rock.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Now we have this ability to make an asset-based currency, and that's what the Numey is. It's the first ever asset-based currency. It won't be the last. I'm sure any financier guy listening to this or cryptocurrency, open-minded cryptocurrency person listening to this is like, oh, I'm going to start one of those, and that's fine. I welcome the competition. I welcome everyone to do it, but I also urge people to come on board with this Numey thing. I think it's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
In the sense of it's going to be the most boring ride ever because it's just going to always be the same.
And your version isn't somebody who just heard it and goes, "Oh, I want to make that real quick." Yours is one that you've been chewing on for 13 years.
Oh yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, like working the pieces out before it's time to present
with
it.
Lawyers and bankers and.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh my God, it's been just in Ferris Bueller's Day Off when they have Ben Stein trying to teach the most boring thing they can possibly imagine. Mm-hmm. You know what he's teaching? Monetary theory. He's teaching exactly monetary theory. Oh man, and they're trying to show the most boring possible thing.
Yeah, because he's just like going, "What is it? What is it?
Yeah.
Reaganomics." There we go.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think? Should we wrap this up?
I think
Did
we're there.
bore everyone to death with,
I don't think so
with
at all.
Monetary theory. I hope not. I'm excited by it.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think seeing the gaps in a market and then addressing those gaps, that's economics all day, right?
And people don't know me personally, but I mean, I'm not some like bro-y like finance, like, oh, I want to make, I'm like an artist. I'm like a professor. I'm like a humanitarian.
It is true. I know him personally. He is not a bro-y finance guy at any degree.
It is a little bit scary though. Like, ooh, starting a currency. Who's that? What's that? Right? Because it's all about trust. Because what do we call money but credit? You have to believe, right? You have to have trust. So my main goal right now with Numey is to get people who are interested, innovators, but then fundamentally is to just keep building trust with people so that people feel like this is a trustworthy thing. Actually, as soon as possible, I want to make it so that it's more, governed by kind of more people and, there's trustworthy people involved who have a legacy of trust that they can add to it. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes as we kind of grow and do stuff.
I don't know, and I don't know what what we have to say covering bases or anything. We're not telling people to invest in stuff, but this is just a thing that we are telling
people to invest in things.
Oh no! Well, I'm not. I don't know. I don't know about that. But this is a thing that we're making people aware of because it's a cool. What we do here is talk about new things and innovative solutions.
It's a totally new idea. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a totally new, totally innovative thing. Unless you knew F.A. Hayek's Denationalization of Money, which is like a book. I've met like 3 people in my life who are like, oh yeah, I've read that book. Everyone else I've met is like, I have no idea who you're even talking about. Mm-hmm. So it's relatively new.
Like I know a Selma Hayek. Is this not okay? So F.A. Hayek different. Okay, gotcha.
She's not related. Much sexier than Selma Hayek. You should see this guy.
This guy
is
okay.
The sexiest.
All right,
totally
I'm on it.
Sexy. I'll put a link. I'll put a link to a rap battle between him and John Maynard Keynes. So there's this fantastic 2 YouTube videos where there's a rap battle between John Maynard Keynes and F.A. Hayek. They are
not the real people representing their ideas.
Representing, actors, But the videos are amazing, and I will link them in the show notes, and you can go watch the rap. It'll give you an insight to who F.A. Hayek was. Okay, we better wrap.
We're at
about it long today.
Hey, we had to explain a whole new thing. It took a little bit of time.
It's totally new. And if anybody has any questions, you can always reach out to me.
Of course.
I'll answer anything.
We would love to hear. We love to hear from people.
Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Scott. Thanks, listeners.
Thank you, Adam.
Solutioners.
And thanks for joining us. We will see you again next time. Bye.
Take care. Hey there, thanks for listening to that episode of Solutions from the Multiverse.
Yeah, we're back with a little after roll. Hello.
Hey, after roll. Roll that after roll. So basically, we want you to subscribe.
Yeah.
And rate and review. And tell someone, like take your favorite solution and send it to someone who you think would like blow their mind to hear it.
Yeah, we love making the show. We're proud of it. And we're excited. We want other people to show. We know that the main way people find podcasts is word of mouth. I know that's true for me.
I listen to my friends who also listen to podcasts tell me about ones, and I go, okay, I'm cluing into that. So we want to be part of that chain.
So thanks for being a part of Solutions.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye.
Bye.